if anything, they want to get the running game going. That's
Yeah.
what they want to get.
Yep.
That's what they want to get going. Jordan Mailata said, if we get the running game going, everything falls into place. Period.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, inching closer to the Week 7 matchup between the Eagles and the Vikings this week. That's the 4-2 Eagles versus the 3-2 Minnesota Vikings. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Doing well. Yeah, a little bit of a technical issue, but we'll bounce back. And sorry to be late for a few minutes. Apologies to all the people, but thank you for waiting. Is everything sound correctly?
Everything sounds good, John. I think everything is. Yeah, everything sounds good. Everything looks good, and we got the great John McMullen with us. That's the most important thing. So, Johnny Mac, let's dive right in, man. We got John Stolness coming up here a little bit. We're gonna dive deeper into this game this week. We'll look at some of the. We also have some defensive topics today, John. I know you've wanted to talk defense. Well, I got some questions there, so we'll talk about that. But let's start with the Wednesday recap yesterday, John. A lot of people spoke after practice yesterday. You got some updates on the injury front with players practicing. I don't know yet if we know about their game status outside of Jalen Carter. But what did you see yesterday, John? A big Wednesday practice before the Week 7 game.
Yeah, I don't usually put a lot into this, so I probably shouldn't, but I am anyway. I'm going to put a lot into it. Like I did feel like people talk all the time. I'm like, I don't care about feel at practice, but I felt like a different vibe. They put the pads on. I felt a more serious vibe. Everybody's at their line. Like, last couple of weeks, a short week, it's off, and guys are lost and coming off losses, and it's sort of like, I'm angry. I don't want to talk. Saw a lot of professionals yesterday standing at their locker. I just saw a different mindset, and the realization that now's the time to sort of stop the nonsense and kick it in. That's maybe I completely misreading the situation, but from that perspective, I thought it was a good day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Even better, more concrete is the fact that Landon Dickerson and Quinyon Mitchell were out there stretching at least, and that's all we were able to watch. That's another thing. They had a long practice, but they kicked us out after stretching. So it's like they're ultra serious about this game. Now, Landon and Quinyon were both limited, so there's no guarantee they're going to play, but the fact that they're out there is a very positive step. Jalen Carter's going to play. I kind of knew that from, the moment he didn't play in New York, he was going to play this game. But so that's not a surprise. He was a full practice. He flat out said he was going to play. The other guys, it's more iffy. But as I said, specifically with Quinyon, with Landon, it's like if you give him the opportunity, he's going to play. I think we all know that. He's got a high ankle sprain. Should he play? That's another question. Quinyon, that one surprised me because, again, it's a cornerback with a hamstring issue. And that's either an indication that it really wasn't that serious in New York, North Jersey, or, I can't imagine they would push a cornerback. So even in what they feel is obviously I don't want to say must-win situation. By definition, you're 4-2 in first place.
Right.
There's no must-wins this early in the
I
season.
said it yesterday. I get why it's not a must-win, but I said it yesterday. This team's got to win this week, I think. I really do.
Yeah, I think they're approaching it, again, like it's as close to we need this game to right the ship. And if we don't get this game, things might go in a negative direction type of thing. So I hope they're not pushing them.
John, I've been doing this show with you for almost 2 years now. The vibe, I wrote on my board.
Right, they're showing up.
Social media buzzword, though, John. Devin Caney puts it out. She's like, "Oh, the vibes in the locker room." So I wrote down like what happens to talk to you about it. Now I never planned to use the word vibe.
I love Devin. She used to work with. I love her dearly, and the TV guys. I love them all. But yeah, I don't group me in that group.
Well, John, you hit me with the vibe.
The vibe. Yeah. Well, now you said why I shouldn't do that. Yeah, because I think it's silly for the most part, and it's like those guys they have a different medium. They're sort of doing a different thing. They play up that aspect of it. I get it, but yeah, I don't generally sense that big shift. I sense the big shift.
Yeah, right.
Just a more serious, more buttoned up, like this is ridiculous type environment.
Right.
It's been going on.
Which could also, there's a positive to that, but there could also be a, why this is close to a must-win game. I do think if you flounder here, John, and you lose to the Vikings, things are going to start the questions are going to be asked, and they're going to get bigger, and the pressure.
Well, the questions have already been asked, and I don't think it's about the questions; they're already being asked. But I think they truly believe, and this might be the bad part of it. Like they truly believe there's no issues with all the things, and I don't want to lump everybody into the same category, but all the things I get asked on a daily basis about the creativity and you got to scheme guys up. Like they don't believe that. They believe they're putting themselves behind the sticks and shooting themselves in the foot, and that's what makes them predictable. And to a certain degree, I mean, every if you think about it from the standpoint, I asked Jalen, I may have gotten the longest answer out of Jalen Hurts in recorded history.
Yep.
And that was about the meeting that they had Monday with Kevin Patullo. But later he gave me another long answer when I was talking about Lane and the predictability comment. Like everybody's predictable when you're 3rd and 13. Everybody. Like you're if you have confidence in your passing game, you're going to try to go get the first down.
Right.
Even if you don't, you might draw it. You might run a draw play. But for the most part, the defense knows what you're going to do. So that makes it easier for the defense. That part is true. And I asked Kevin Patullo this back on Tuesday. I said, yeah, I get it. I didn't ask it this way, but essentially, and Kevin picked up on what I was trying to say. I didn't phrase it the best way possibly, but I was like, all right, I get it, the behind the stick stuff and the off schedule and the on phase, off phase stuff. When you're on phase, are you happy with the adjustments and the creativity? And he said, yes, when things are going well. And that's the point of the, they're Jekyll and Hyde. They're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Then they get a first down. They're very efficient.
Right.
Red zone, number one. Yeah. So to a certain extent, I get it, but I don't think people would agree with that. Like, because but that bottom line, I think the people that don't like it just don't like the offense. And I get that. I'm in that category. I don't like it. It's ugly. It's not aesthetic. It's not exciting to watch. But I'm at the point where, all right, that doesn't matter when it comes to winning games. Like they won a bunch of games last year, more than anybody else. By definition, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They won the most important games of them all. And it was still ugly. It was ugly compared to the best offenses in the NFL. It was often unwatchable at times, the same as this year. So I think if you take that out of the equation and understand they're not trying to be pretty, they're not trying to attract you at the end of the bar at 2:00 in the morning. They're just trying to be ruthlessly efficient, which they haven't been, but that's what they're trying to get to. And that's where I felt the vibe, like we're more serious.
Right.
The physical aspect of
vibe, and then there's a buttoned up professionalism.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. I get what you're saying.
So that's what I kind of saw yesterday. And on the other hand, and again, I'm not there, but I did see O'Connell, who is typically very engaging, and all of a sudden he was getting snippy when he was getting the JJ McCarthy questions.
I saw
which I don't think I've ever seen him snippy before. So, if you counteract the two pictures, I think it's early, but I think this is shaping up for a good week for the Eagles.
Good week for the Eagles. We'll see how that shakes out. Johnny Mac, John, the offense has talked like another meeting, and I'm not going to fall for it again.
Meetings, baby, meetings.
They do all seem to have some sort of I don't know. I assume obviously they're holding on to what it is, but Saquon's like, I'm not going to give too much of the scouting report, but I'm excited to get back out there. Patullo, Jalen talked about it. Everybody talked about this offensive meeting, which to me appears like they're going to make a shift. I don't know where, or I don't know how, or I don't know what that means. Have you picked up on any of that and your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they had it. Like, I have a meeting at 9:20 with John Stolness. He just popped in. Everybody has meetings. That's the funniest thing in the world to me. That's all NFL teams do all day. They meet. So it's the only thing different is they were in there Monday because they had a mini bye week and they had an extra day to play with, and they come off a loss. So you're not going to say, hey, maybe if you're 5-1. Maybe, obviously if you're 6-0, you might tell your players, take another day. We'll have a normal schedule on the Sunday week. So about the only thing different about that meeting was that happened on Monday. You're always going to talk now. And then the second part, I should say 2 parts, and they had the coaches had extra time. They're the ones who have the extra time. So they had a little bit of an opportunity to do more of a self-scout and look at the bigger picture instead of typically when you just go from week to week. So, this week it'll be Minnesota. As soon as it's over, they'll go New York Giants, your game prep on a normal week. So the coaches had a little bit of extra time. So those are your minor shifts, and that's really the only difference. And then Kevin described it as a very good meeting, I think was his term. And the guys have gotten behind that. As far as a shift in philosophy, yeah, I mean, you don't shift in, if anything, they want to get the running game going. That's what they want to get.
Yep.
That's what they want to get going. Jordan Mailata said, if we get the running game going, everything falls into place. Period. That's what they want.
Yeah. I've been McMullenized on it. Somebody messaged it to me yesterday on Twitter, the talking about the offensive meeting. I'm like, I'm done buying into the meeting talk, my friend. Let me see what they do on Sunday.
The meetings.
Yeah.
The meeting talk is great.
It is what it is. We got John Stone in the room. John, one more question for you here before we get to John. Isaiah Rodgers popped up yesterday. Our buddy Ed Kratz, the great Ed Kratz, put out a report that they were in on Isaiah Rodgers, which by the way, it isn't new. I mean, you've talked about that here, that you were most likely they were in the conversation. They just didn't want.
Oh, they were in. They wanted him. Yeah.
So, but that comes out yesterday, and I don't know. Maybe this is the sinister, mind of myself, but I'm like, who put that out right now? I mean, we're playing Isaiah. We got depleted cornerbacks, and now we're coming out in week 7 saying we were in the room for Isaiah Rodgers. Now, I love Ed Kratz. It has nothing to do with Ed Kratz in my eyes, but it comes out yesterday, and then Isaiah Rodgers kind of disputes it. He says, "Don't believe the media."
There's definitely a disconnect between Isaiah's camp and the Eagles camp, and what went on.
Yeah.
First of all, as far as why yesterday, because they're playing the Vikings. I mean, that's why. So you revisit some stuff. And he's having a great season, by the way. And it's compounded by the fact that the Eagles have a significant need at cornerback, and the projection that if he was here, he'd be playing the same way there, and everything's a vacuum. And that's not the case either. But he's a good player, and he'd be better than what they have currently opposite Quinyon Mitchell. So number one, that's why the timing, because they're playing the Vikings.
Right.
But from the standpoint of, yes, they wanted him back. They're the two guys they they earmarked to get back were Zach Ball and Isaiah Rodgers. They got one. They tried, from my understanding, and certainly from the understanding of Isaiah's part of the equation, they tried to lowball him. And, we thought it's not a bad thing. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
like
look,
the idea the Eagles tried to, didn't try to sign Milton. They tried to sign Milton Williams before the season started, but they tried to lowball him, trying to, and Milton was like, I tell this story all the time. It's like, well, I'm going to get to play more. Fletcher retired. I'm going to bet on myself. He bet on himself, and he hit a grand slam. Forget about a home run. He hit a grand slam. He got a massive contract. He's playing well.
I didn't even think the contract was that big, I mean,
well, Isaiah's wasn't. That's the difference. And remember, so I think there's some bad feelings on both sides from the perspective. I don't even, and that's probably a bad term, bad. The Eagles, remember, he was suspended and the Eagles signed him he was signed for an entire year.
Yep.
When nobody else would go near him. So I think from their mentality, it was like, all right, can you at least give us a shot to match the offer? And they think that didn't come. And I think from Isaiah's side, it's like, look what I did for you guys. We won the Super Bowl. I played well. And it's like, why are you trying to lowball me? And this other team came in and said, we love you. We're going to make you a starter and this and that. And the Eagles aren't going to make that. They were going to give him the first opportunity, but they're not going to say you're the starter. So I think it's just a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
But the Eagles wanted him, and they tried to get him, as they do, at the most cost-effective rate possible. And I remember I don't know the exact timing, but the days before free agency, they thought they had him. And then they said, you know what, we're gonna look when the tampering window, which I hate that term, but I'll use it. After the legal negotiating period opened, they said, well, let's see. And I think from that standpoint, the Eagles thought they'd come back to them if they got a better deal. They got a better deal, and they just took the better deal.
Yeah, right.
That's my understanding.
One of the, they just said the NFL things where sometimes it just doesn't line up, different thought processes in the two camps.